Rob Scholl, and this is the Notary Report. In the opinion section of this issue, I'm going to try and make some sense of today's headlines. From the collapse of Bitcoin and demonization of cryptocurrencies by the elite bankers and politicians, to the build-up to war with Russia and China, to the ongoing and escalating cyber attacks now affecting companies and markets worldwide. In 1972, there was a study done by MIT predicting society would collapse in the early part of this century. The projection was around 2040 and was based on the natural advancement of a technologically advanced society. In the article titled, quote, MIT predicted in 1972 that society will collapse this century, new research shows we're on schedule, end quote, published by www.vice.com. I'll put the link in the comments below. We read, quote, in 1972, a team of MIT scientists got together to study the risk of civilizational collapse. Their system dynamics model, published by the Club of Rome, identified impending limits to growth that meant industrial civilization was on track to collapse sometime within the 21st century due to overexploitation of planetary resources. A remarkable new study by a director at one of the largest accounting firms in the world has found that a famous decade-old warning from MIT about the risk of industrial civilization collapsing appears to be accurate based on new empirical data. In fact, we're right on schedule for the worst-case scenario. Neither the MIT study done in 1972 nor the recent study substantiating that results took into consideration the global cabal manipulating the markets, attacking the supply chains, and destroying the planet through 20 years of war in the Middle East, false flag attacks, stoking racial tensions that could lead to civil war, manipulating elections, and man-made pandemics. Yet, in 2021, that is where we found ourselves. Closer to total collapse of society than MIT could ever have predicted in its models that were based on normal advancement of society without any tampering from a global cabal. Enter the World Economic Forum, the WEF, i.e., the wealthy elite. Bill Gates and company to the rescue. In late 2019, just a couple of years ago, same year the pandemic broke out, the World Economic Forum, in partnership with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, held a worldwide training drill to prepare the world's corporate and government leaders for the effects on business and governments from a global pandemic. Shortly afterwards, COVID-19 was released on humanity, costing millions of lives, untold harm to world economies, and of course, Bill's endgame scenario was launched, creating a need for every human on Earth to be vaccinated to save humanity. And as expected, that didn't resolve anything. New variations of the virus are now ravaging even the vaccinated. So that was a wasted effort. But yet, go get your vaccination. Fast forward to the present. This month, July 2021, this same World Economic Forum, in partnership with the same Gates Foundation, held a worldwide simulation called Cyber Polygon 2021 to prepare the world's corporate and government leaders for a global financial catastrophe that will pave the way for the Great Reset, which is the stated goal of the WEF. This will come in the form of a global financial cyber threat that, quote, an attack on a single vulnerable link in the chain is enough to bring down the entire system, just like a domino effect, end quote. This is the warning directly from the front page of the Cyber Polygon 2021 website. The link is in the comments. It is not surprising then, It's not surprising then why all these smaller cyber attacks on specific industries, such as the Colonial Pipeline in May this year, then the attack on the world's largest beef marketer, then most recently on Microsoft Exchange servers affecting businesses across the globe, are making front page news. The sheeple are being prepared mentally for what they plan next. These are undoubtedly false flags to prepare the public for the larger false flag of them all, which will be the cyber attack on the financial institutions that will bring down the world's economy, paving the way for the Great Reset. No doubt blamed on some cooperative effort between Russia and China, leading us directly into World War, which brings up the next topic, World War III. We're now seeing major military exercises with NATO. To counter, we see Russia and China preparing for war with NATO in their own major military exercises. In May 2021, we saw the biggest Navy exercise in a generation that includes 25,000 personnel across 17 time zones. From military.com, their website, I'll put the link in the comments, quote, tens of thousands of sailors and Marines will participate in the biggest U.S. naval exercise in a generation to test how the services will fight across vast distances as they prepare for possible conflict with China and Russia. Now, China is actively preparing for war as well. We see the article, quote, China is preparing for nuclear war in the Real Clear Defense website. Again, I'll put the link to the article in the comments. Russia and China are deepening their ties and war footing on two fronts in preparation for war with the U.S. and NATO, as reported in the article. China and Russia turned deeper ties into a military challenge for Biden. On the foreignpolicy.com website, I'll put that link in the comments. But why go to war? Where does that fit in? You see, to reset the world economy to benefit just one side, you need a unified world to go along with it. The USA owes China over $1 trillion in debt and will have to eliminate this debt either by paying it, which we cannot do, or by destroying China in battle. Russia would be aligned with China in that war as well. Notice that each one of these massive global assaults are blamed on China or Russia. China was blamed for the COVID-19 pandemic, even though it's common knowledge now that Anthony Fauci, who should be in prison for lying to Congress and for funding COVID-19. Anyway, back to that. China was blamed for it, even though we were behind it, no doubt. Is now being blamed for the recent Microsoft Exchange server attack. So China's being blamed for both. Russia's being blamed for the oil pipeline attack and the meatpacking attacks. On Forbes' website, you can read a rundown of major cyber attacks the U.S. has blamed on Russia going back the past few years to the present. I'll include that link in the comments below as well. The next phase that we're witnessing in the news is the attack on cryptocurrencies. To protect ourselves from this attack on the financial systems, the average person would move their money into cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. The elite do not benefit in any way from the current crypto system, like Bitcoin. The global banking elite who run the WEF would be bankrupt in that scenario. So a focused disinfo campaign to discredit cryptocurrencies would have to be implemented prior. It is no surprise then that each of these cyber attacks were, quote, financed using cryptocurrency. Leading to constant negative press about how crypto criminals and terrorists are exploiting these cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Side note, Bitcoin is down from $55,000 per coin to less than $30,000 per coin, about a 40% drop just in the past few months. The WEF, along with the media lapdogs, have been demonizing cryptocurrencies in favor of a centralized digital currency that will result in a massive upward movement of wealth back to the global elite instead of the people, which is what would happen with Bitcoin. At Cyber Polygon 2021, the globalists took aim at the ransomware as a service business model, they call it, as a means to target cryptocurrencies more broadly. Another Cyber Polygon 2021 discussion panel titled New World, New Currency was a discussion on how central banks were looking to implement digital currencies where all transactions would be recorded on a single ledger. They highlighted the central bank effort to roll out digital currencies that can be programmed with permissions on transactions, with the ability to restrict certain purchases. Now, let's put that in context of the previous discussion on pandemics and so forth and vaccines. With this type of cryptocurrency or digital currency that can be programmed with permissions on transactions and restrict certain purchases, if you don't get vaccinated, they can simply just turn off your money. Now let's look at the attack on internet freedoms. In the World Economic Forum meeting of 2012, the mantra was, quote, "A war on cybercrime could easily become a war on internet freedoms." That's a quote from World Economic Forum 2012. The World Economic Forum has been talking about developing a digital immune system for the internet for a decade. They compare the need for human vaccinations due to the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, with the need to vaccinate the internet to protect against digital pandemics caused by a globally connected, quote, free internet. Now it begins to make sense what the real purpose behind the major social media sites censoring free speech is truly about. Preparing the public for the need to control the internet by systematically and incrementally increasing the grip over our digital lives via social media first, and then the internet in general as a whole. Conclusion. With the star Betelgeuse about to go supernova possibly next year, which is the sign of the return of the Son of Man in the sky, where Orion rides the clouds of heaven for every eye to see, the elite are in a mad dash to create their world government. We are witnessing the fulfillment of their plans on the world stage today as they make their final preparation to reduce the rest of us to slaves as they consume our wealth, our freedoms, and our very lives with false flags, staged events, and planned responses. All designed to enrich the few at the top, impoverish the rest of humanity, and consolidate power. Now, there's one issue I didn't discuss, and that's the soft disclosure of the UFO and alien presence, as we're being prepared to accept the reality that we're not alone and alien intelligent life is already present on Earth. We have seen major governments around the world declassify their UFO research. Even the USA is moving in that direction, admitting to confrontation with UFOs, with fighter jets, and Congress commissioning a full report on the topic. Where does that fit in? Well, that's a topic for another issue of The Notary Report. This has been Rob Shaw, and you've been watching The Notary Report. Hallelujah. Go to www.notary.report and click on register at the top to subscribe.